How's it going? I am Jim and I'm sitting in front of a Dualtron Mini, or actually behind it, and I'm going to talk about tire change. And this kind of goes out to my buddy Adam out in Florida. He got a Dualtron Mini I sent out to him, and he had rear tire flat. I'll briefly talk about the front tire. That's pretty easy, but I'm not going to show it. But the tools, luckily for Dualtron, are not a ton that you need to do this. You need a 18mm wrench or an adjustable wrench that opens up at least 18mm, a 4mm Allen of some sort. I have a little screwdriver that's actually for a pry tool, just in case you need to work the rim apart. If you're worried about scratches, you can put a little tape over the end of it. And then I have a board here that I've drilled it's a 1x4 that I've drilled a 1/2-inch hole in, that I will sometimes use to support the wheel by threading the wheel through so it has a place to sit. And this is just a board sitting on top of the box. So this isn't anything extravagant like a workbench. It might be something you might have or you're using. And if you got the boxes actually work pretty good for a work surface. You have the room to store it. So with that said, we're just going to dive right into it. The first thing you'll do is, if you put on the little rubber boots, of course you'll have to take those off. Most of the work is going to be done on the other side of the scooter, so I'm just going to break this loose. Lefty loosey, of course. This is a new Mini I'm demonstrating this on. That's why I don't have the handlebar connected. Just so you know. So I'm going to also relieve the axle on this side as well. And the other side was real tight, so I'm using a little bit of help from a hammer. Mallet, actually. So I just want to show real quick. We're actually working to access are these Allen bolts. Let me point with my wrench. Right in here. Those ones inside of the rim. Man, everything is tight. Looks like I'm gonna need a little stronger Allen key than that one. All right. So I took a little tension off those, and now I'm gonna flip it around. All right, so on this side of the scooter, we need to take out this 4mm bolt here that basically holds the disc brake mechanism in place. Of course, you want to make sure you don't lose that. Recommend putting it somewhere safe. And you can just pull the cable out of the cable stop there. That way it's just out of the way. Now we're going to finish backing this. I'm going to back this nut off all the way. So the rim separates away from the brake on these Mini motors. That's a mouthful. So we are going to now take our little pry bar and kind of work, and it depends on the time. You know, sometimes these are tighter than others. It's just a little keeper washer. So just work that out. So now what I'm going to attempt to do, is I'm going to pull the wheel out and move the scooter a little bit forward. Sorry about this dangling stuff here. All right. So there we go. That's one of the biggest selling points to me of the Mini Motors products, is the easier serviceability of these wheels. Of course, if you got a flat, you wouldn't have had to do what I just did there. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to back off these 4mm Allens and take them out. So the 6 bolts are out, and now look at the magic. Woo! That's actually way nicer than I expected. So now you have your rim, and you can see here inside it's just split. So now You don't even really need that tire lever. You just take and work it apart with your hands. I'm going to use a little lever anyway. And there you go. So now all you got to do is, if you're replacing your tire, you take the tire off. And this is quite a nice thick tube. It's a 8.5 by 2 angle stem. I'll put a link to one of these tubes for Amazon. Feel free to use it if you'd like. It'll be an Amazon affiliate link. You know how those work. So if you're changing the tire, you'd put the tube back in, valve stem facing up away from that the part of the rim without the hole. Get that valve stem on there. Make sure you get the valve stem all the way pulled out, or it's going to hang up a little bit. Then you're going to drop down between the bolt holes, these outer bolt holes that you're not removing. Almost sound like I said bolt holes. And I would just drop a couple of these in. That way you can just make sure you're grabbing a couple threads. So just a little bit like lug nuts in a car. I recommend going in a little bit of a pattern. Around the rim. And I wouldn't worry about torquing these to the level that it seemed like they were torqued from the factory. If you're worried about this, you can always throw a little bit of Loctite blue on there. The inner washer basically follows the guide of, it kind of guides the wheel into this groove. And then the outer washer hooks into this little tab right there. So sometimes this part can be a little finicky because you got to get everything kind of in the right spot. So bear with me, and then of course you might have to have some patience yourself. All right, so that was a little finicky. The flat spots of the axle have to match the flat spots of the groove that it goes into here. And to really get those to line up, you kind of have to turn the whole motor. If you just spin the tire or you just spin this brake, it just kind of moves around. So you have to kind of be aware of that. So I got that tab back in the slot. I'm just put these together finger tight right now. Why that brake cable, why this is loose, before you put in the bolts, it's actually helpful to rotate the brake. The disc brake drum, the outer drum, I'm not sure the actual term for it. And then you can rotate this back to grab that bolt. So I recommend you can go ahead and get in that one. Like I said, everything's kind of just finger tight at this point. Now just go ahead and tighten down the axle. And because you're using those keeper bolts, you don't really have to worry too much about lining everything up. It's gonna kind of do that itself. And also because you're working with a drum brake back here versus a disc brake, it's not that bad. There's a few washers that go on the inside of this. Slide those back into place, tighten that down. I'll have to readjust the brake. That's not that bad. If you just pull up the scooter with the handlebars up so the brake lever isn't depressed, spin this, and then tighten this down till you just hear the smallest amount of brake drag, and then I usually back it out a quarter turn. I would recommend after you've fixed a flat like this, it's a good time to put in some sealant. I know a lot of people don't like Slime brand, which is fine. I don't really know. I mean, I'm lucky enough that where I ride, I don't have tons of flats. So I've used Slime with okay results. But there's some other armadillos, stand sealant, There's a number of sealants. You can do some research. You can find them on Amazon. If I can find a part, I'll throw them down in the description as well. I'm just going to show you real quick how it works on the front tire, and that's I'm just going to point that out. So I'm going to rotate the scooter up that way. The front tire is much easier. Well, you got no brakes, you don't have anything like that. So again, 18mm bolts here. Just take them both off with the scooter like this, and you might want to have it in a way so it's not moving as much as this. Take these off, and then you can see right here there's three. Is it three? I thought it was three. No, just two. On each side there are two Allen bolts accessible, so 4 total, and these hold the rim. So when you pull it off, they hold the rim together, and you just undo these 4 bolts and the rim just separates. So then at that point it's the same process as that. Quite easy. The separating rims are a big help for doing tire changes. Alright, so that's about it. Hope this helps you out there, Adam. If you're looking for a pool or spa, I'll let Adam plug his own business if he wants to down in the comments. He's a good guy, and yeah, hope this helps you out. If you've done these and you have some other tricks that might be better, easier to follow than what I've talked about, please shoot them down below. It's just trying to help everybody out. Hope you're having a good day, staying safe out there. Talk to you next time.
Catch the wave.